and welcome to the BetterU Podcast, where we go in depth and get to listen to stories of hope, strength, and courage straight from some of the leading health, fitness, and wellness experts who help transform lives one person at a time. I am your host, RKaye, and today we are joined by human behavior and neuro linguist programming expert, business mindset coach, author, and speaker, and he has helped thousands of people to take charge of their minds and live healthy, happy lives. Let's welcome to the show, Coach Umar Hameed. Good morning, Coach. How are you today?
I am freaking fantastic. Thank you so much for the invite today. It's amazing that we can talk together, and something we may accidentally say will help somebody out there that'll go, oh my God, that's exactly what I need to hear today. And it's a privilege we get to do that.
Exactly. Like you did get to say what this show is pretty much all about. It's about letting people know that as coaches there are so many different stories that have happened in our lives, and that's what pretty much motivated and inspired us to help out other people. And of course, I'm sure you also had like a good situation in your life that has happened. Could you tell the audience today, those who don't know you that much yet, Coach Umar, how did the whole thing start for you? How did you decide that this is something that I want to do? I want to help people, and I want to really focus on the mind, because you're all about that mindset. So
Yeah.
could you tell us how it all began for you?
Sure. My mom basically lost me. My dad took me away, and she thought she'd never see me again. And she got so despondent that she committed suicide. And being a kid, it was like, it shut me down. But somewhere deep down, it was like, if I was there for my mom, I could have made a difference. And of course, with that skill set as a kid, that's not true, but that's really what we believe. So that always instilled in me that, if I could have helped her, she would have been okay. And so as I grew as an adult, the focus was always helping other people. And somebody once referred to me as a wounded warrior, where it's like you have a wound from childhood and that makes you a warrior for those people. And so I started in high-tech Silicon Valley, and one day I decided that I want to go from high-tech to brain tech, and started digging deep into this space. How do human beings work? What drives us? How do we get breakthroughs? How do we live up to our full potential? And what the frick happens to babies? Because babies are so amazing. They can do anything they want. And anything that does not working gets forgotten immediately, and they end up walking. And we go from these amazing creatures that can do anything in the world that they want. Just think about it. This stinky, smelly baby has no power in the world, but controls the family. Dad is wrapped around the little finger. And we go from those amazing beings to adults that seem to have a lot of things in our life, but deep down we feel that I'm not good enough or I'm not lovable. And so my goal in life is to help people rediscover the amazing creature inside and remove the fears and step into the light and be the light and guide the path for other folks.
That is amazing. Like I do follow a lot of your work, and it just amazes me how you share different daily kind of routines or mini rituals that everyone can actually follow anywhere they are. And you just like, I'm not saying it's like in the snap of a finger, but I mean, those are really very helpful practices. And so for you, what do you think is one major reason why a lot of us these days, we tend to overlook the mind? Like, are there any sort of myths out there that you think like, well, people kind of shun themselves from discovering how their mind works, and it's something or a major setback for a lot of people out there? And how do you think we should try to overcome it as, as simple as it can be. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, great question. There's 3 reasons for that. By the way, I never know the 3rd reason when I start this. I always know the first 2. So one of the reasons that we don't realize why the mindset is so important is that we were never taught it. It's like we were taught this is how you do math, this is how you have etiquette, this is how you do this is how you win. We get all that stuff. But the most important thing in the entire world, the only thing you control in the entire world is you. But that's the one thing we don't teach people how to do, is how to control this. So number 1, we were never taught it. So we don't have the skills. Number 2, it's not our fault. It's like the reason I'm not getting more dates is because of you. You're doing it RA. Or we point to the outside world because it's easier to look for faults everywhere else. And we're not comfortable looking within. And I think that 3rd thing is that when we look within, sometimes there's scary stuff there. And I just want everybody to know. So write this down. If you're listening to this, right while you're driving the car, endanger everybody around you. No, don't do that. Pull over. Is that fear that we have, that uncertainty, that I'm not good enough, all of that stuff is a veneer over us. That when we get past that, we realize all of that stuff is bullshit. It's a lie. That we have taught ourselves that. And so we need to realize that when we go within, is it going to be scary? Absolutely 100%. Will we die? 100% you're not going to die. But that's why you need the right mindset to go in, or the right guide to help you go in that can hold your hand. And I'm going to share a tangent, then I'll come back to this. I rappelled down a building. It was a 28-story building, and I did it for the National Kidney Foundation to raise money. And everything was fantastic. And they put the harness on me, and it wasn't as fantastic, but still pretty fantastic. Then I went to the edge of the building and looked down 28 stories from a skyscraper looking down. And I went, holy crap, I'm not sure I want to do this. I don't even trust these people putting the harness on me. But who I did trust was the director of the Kidney Foundation. And I leveraged her trust into the people that she entrusted. And that allowed me to go down the building. And of course, I survived, and it was great fun. And so the reason I share that story is if you find the right guide to take you down that path, that even though you don't believe in yourself, you can believe in your mom or your dad or your coach or your friend, their belief in you. And just borrow that for a little while. Because that's what leadership is getting people to set aside the fear and go on the journey. And if you want to go down that journey, take a friend.
That's actually a very scary yet a very relatable story for everyone, because it's like, yeah, we do get to go through certain things in life and we're like, oh no, I'm not gonna do this is too scary. But when we look to people who support us, we trust them to, help us through the journey, and everything pretty much works out better than what we expect, right? And speaking of support and guide, are there people there aside from your family, of course, Coach Umar? Is there a specific person that, or a mentor maybe, who inspired you with the work that you now share with others, with your clients and everyone who gets to work with you?
So it was an author that I never met. His name was Peter McWilliams, and he was just a really, really smart guy. And he was the first guy to really open up the universe for me, that there's more than what's physically around us. So when I met my wife, my first wife, I used to tease her and call her a third eyer, because she believed in more than you can touch this is real, but there was more to us spiritually and interconnectedness. And it was like, you're nuts. But with her help, I was able to really look at what happened with my mom. And I was estranged from my mom's family. And we went back and met with them. And my wife went with me, and she was the person that first opened me up to a greater world, but also was that person that I trusted implicitly that allowed me to go reconnect with my mom's family. And here was the interesting part, is that they had moved on from my mom's passing, but they were still all tethered to that event because they didn't let me know what happened. So there's an unresolved nature to it. So when I went back, they'd had family meetings like ixnay on the mom thing. Just, we're happy to have him back. Don't talk about his mom. So we have this nice lunch, and after lunch, I'm sitting down, and my cousin's across the sofa from me, and I go, "How did my mom die?" And then she told me, and I was bawling. My wife's crying. They're all crying. And it allowed me to make peace with it and move on. And for them, they'd gone 23 years, but it allowed them to go back and make peace with it. And it freed everybody. And nobody died. And, but it was scary as shit for everybody. But it released all that negative emotion, and it started me down this path of truly helping people and saying, oh my God, there's more to us than meets the eye. And there's a backstory to it that goes in deeper to how we're all connected. But I'll let you guide the show, see where you want to go.
Well, that is such, I don't think like I don't want to go through like saying, oh, one particular race is like this or that, but I think like it's a worldwide thing where, if something tragic happens in the family, the rest of the family members are out there to like really support the individual who they know who is hurting. But in all essence, everyone is hurting, and everyone has to really like move on past that situation. And I think, you sharing that with us today is something that's really special, and that would really, really also, I'm sure, help other people out there who have experienced the same similar situation as you did. Now, so far, Coach Umar, I'm sure that's one of the many stories and experiences in your life that you hold true and special to you. But going back to you and coaching and helping other people, has there specifically been a very proud moment so far as a coach, helping someone out? Has there been a client that, probably started out to be a frustration to you, and then now they're really doing great in their journey? Has there been any?
There's been countless things. That one that comes to mind is this woman that when she was recommended to come see me, she was stuck in her career. And I said, if we start working together, we'll figure out, why you're stuck, and then we'll get you unstuck. And sometimes it's a childhood event. And she goes, well, I know what it is. It is a childhood event. I said, really? What happened? She goes, when I was 8 years old, my dad started sexually molesting me till I was 12. And I just recently found out he did the same thing to my 2 daughters without me knowing. And it was just, and so the very first session that we worked, what we did was we worked on, there was a part of her psyche that knew she could be highly successful. And there was another part of her psyche that you don't deserve this. So we resolved that the first session. And the second session, we looked at the molestation and addressed that. And after the third session, she's got this testimonial where she's talking about, I just feel fucking amazing. It like the entire world had changed. And she was talking about her kids. And her kids are asking her, are you okay, Mom? She goes, what do you mean, am I okay? Well, normally you're screaming and yelling at us, and now you're just like happy all the time. And so for her, it was a profound shift in a few short sessions, and helping people, because what we think in society is that change is hard, it's difficult. If it's ever going to happen, it's going to take a long time. Hold that thought. So you can have somebody that's everything is going okay, and some traumatic event happens that you almost get bitten by a dog, and it creates a phobia around dogs. It didn't take 7 years for that to happen. It took a second that this dog lunged at you. It didn't even bite you. And then all of a sudden it creates a belief that dogs are dangerous, and as soon as you see a dog, you break out in a sweat. So when we get, this is a psychological term, and some of you may want to write it down. When you get effed up, it happens in a moment. And so if you look at it from a neuroscience point of view, you went from one state to another state in a millisecond. What if you could go from being a not okay state to an okay state in a millisecond? And that's been my life's work. And I call that the change point, that we can take someone instead of like months or years of therapy, that we can go in, if we can go in deep enough to figure out where the wound is and then go in and create the change, that instantly someone can go totally fixed in everything, but that one black hole of gravity that sucked them down into this place of depression or in a place of I'm not good enough. If you can, we can change that in a moment. And that's my life's work, is to teach people how to do that. And one of the ways we're doing that is an app called Mindset Boosters. It's on my website, mindsetboosters.com, and it gives you an app where you can go in and say, I want to change this behavior, and it'll guide you through a process where you can do it. Or I want to feel lovable right now before I go into a meeting. So that's kind of my life's work, is to empower people to have the power of change in the palm of the hand where they need it.
That's actually amazing. Like I absolutely agree that the work that you do get to share with everyone, it's very powerful. I've joined a few from just your Instagram reels, and it does, it works wonders for everyone. So could you maybe share with the audience today a simple or a workable practical tip?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do one right now. So if people listening, and I'm going to ask you as my guinea pig, and what were you called when you were a little girl? Like, what did your mom call you?
Well, she called me my nickname, RKaye.
RKaye?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or K.
K. We won't call you Special K. We'll just call you K. So, K, you'll be my guinea pig for this. And everyone else watching and listening, please go along through with the exercise. So, K, if you were thinking about your level of self-esteem right now in this moment, in this interview with me, from a scale of 0, no self-esteem, to 100, like you're a Disney character at the end of the movie where everything's fantastic, what number pops up? If you ask that question inside, what level of self-esteem right now at this moment?
Right now at this moment, probably I always go with an 80. 85.
Okay, let's say 85. So let's go on a thought experiment. So everybody go along with me that Kay, the New York Times is going to do an article about you. And you tell your friends, and your friends are really excited for you. And they tell you, you better prepare for this interview. And you go, okay, I'll prepare. And you go in this room that's divided in two with a glass wall in the middle. And you're sitting on one side of the room at a table on a chair, writing your accomplishments. So you're ready for this interview. And you go all the way back to when you were a little girl doing those finger paintings that your parents loved. And you go back to what you did for your siblings or in church that you're proud of. Maybe some academic events or sporting events in elementary school, things you did in high school, summer jobs, and basically writing all the accomplishments in your life. And as you're doing that, the essence of who you are, some people might call it higher self or soul, steps out of your body and goes to the glass wall and steps on the other side of the glass wall. So you can see yourself writing your accomplishments on the other side of the room. And as you're standing there watching yourself write your accomplishments, Kate, think of someone in your life that loves you very much. And just imagine that they're standing right next to you on this other side of the wall, watching you write your accomplishments. Who's that for you, Kate? Which person comes to mind that loves you very much?
Well, it has to be my partner, Braden.
Braden. So just imagine Braden is next to you, watching you write your accomplishments on the other side of the room. And dear listeners and viewers, get that person who's that person for you. And Kay, I want you to step into Braden's body for a moment and see yourself through his loving eyes, how he sees you. and really get a good sense of that. And then I want you to hear his thoughts for you, how much he loves you and how much he cares for you, and really listen to that. And since you're in his body, really feel the depth of his emotions for you, how much he loves you, how much he cares for you. And when you have all three, you can see yourself through his eyes. You can hear how much he loves you and feel those emotions. Step out of his body, go through the glass wall to where you're sitting, listening and looking at me, and step into your body. When you step back inside, it changes things, right?
Yeah.
And when you think about your self-esteem, what number is that at now?
Maybe over.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And so that is the power of mindset. Is I showed you how to communicate with yourself. And I could have said, Kay, you're so beautiful and talented, and you've got this podcast, and you're helping clients, and you're amazing. And all of that would feel good, but all of that is external, me validating you. And as soon as you go out in the real world, all that stuff kind of just falls away. But what I showed you was a way to go inside intrinsically and just go, self-esteem today is going to be freaking 110. And when you show up, what it does sometimes is it lets you show up without ego, because you are 100% who you're meant to be, that you don't need to go, I'm so fancy, look at me, I'm special. You just go in and you can just connect with people in that profound way, which changes their experience. So was that a useful exercise?
It was. It was very, very useful, and like it's something that really, to me, working on the mindset is something that's really is always special each time. Like there's like, even if I repeat the exercise that you gave me, it'll probably have like a different or maybe a much better effect or a best effect to try it every time, right? So yeah, thank you for sharing that very helpful tip with everyone today, Coach Umar. Now, as well, of course, every good situation has an end, but before we end the episode for everyone, like I know I'm certain that I would like to do another episode with you sometime in the future. But for today's episode, would you like to share with everyone maybe a very special quote or saying that has helped you through your journey as a coach?
So I'm going to share something, something that's helped me a lot and helped a lot of clients. Kay, you have the God-given right to suck. And so do all your listeners. And it's like, wait a minute, you're supposed to inspire me. What the hell is this bullshit? And this is why it's so important, is that oftentimes, dear listeners and viewers, is that we think that we need to get everything perfect before we go out there. And Kay, if you decided to do something, let's say appear on a TV show or run a 5K or whatever, that even your worst appearance is going to be pretty decent, right? You're going to do a half decent job. And the way to become great is to do something, figure out what needs improving, and do it again and again and again. After about the fourth, fifth time, you're going to be fabulous. But most people wait for, I won't do it till I know I can be fabulous out of the gate. So when you embrace how much you suck, it gives you permission to go execute. And I'll give you an example from my life. I'd written this really amazing marketing piece that took me, like a week to write, and it was breathtakingly beautiful. And then about a year and a half later, I saw it in my desk drawer and I went, oh my God, this is like so crap. And I really felt this was so amazing back then. And I spent so much time. And had I gone, just executed and seen the results and tweaked it, after the third or fourth version of it, it would have been way better. So yeah, just know that as long as you have the right intent and you're creating something with, I want to create something fabulous, and it will be fabulous in the 5th workshop that I do will be better than the first workshop I do, and the 10th workshop I do is going to be better than the 5th. Then that's my secret weapon. That's my superpower, is that execute now and just improve a little bit and just keep on doing it till you become fabulous.
I really, really like that you shared that with the audience today, because that is the reality of life. We think that if I'm not ready, if I'm not perfect for this particular thing, I shouldn't be doing it. And how you get to perfect is what? It's in action, guys. So yeah, let's all go and follow Coach Umar's advice about that. So of course, everyone who gets to watch and listen today, I'm sure you're very excited and you'd probably like to see all of Coach Umar's work. It's great. So I will be leaving all of that, all of the wonderful links, his Facebook group, everything about Coach Umar in the description box below. So do read all about that later after the show. All right. So, Coach Umar, thank you so much for taking the time off and joining us today. And to all our viewers, thank you as well for joining us in today's BetterU Podcast. I am Coach RKaye signing off. But always remember to never give up on your movement journey, because it's never too late to move. Bye, guys.